We are not worried that we're gonna be beaten. It's just a League of Legends, so if you make mistake, if you have bad early game, then if they snowball good, if they don't make any mistake, then we cannot do anything. But in other hand, it means like if enemy play really good, it means like we're learning something. So we're not afraid of losing, but we're just afraid of like having bad game. We make less mistakes than any other teams, and then we're good at snowballing. So like we're pretty confident against H2K.
Welcome back to the European League Championship Series, and H2K are about to take to the Rift against the undefeated Fnatic. And joining me to break down the matchup is Rakat's Yamato Cannon and the coach for Origin, of course. I got a little confused because you, of course, used to work with Rakat as well. First off, congratulations. A fantastic victory.
Thank you.
Pretty straightforward versus Giants.
Yes.
Yeah, it was. Well, we're going to take a look at this matchup at the starting lineup, starting with H2K on the blue side. Odoamne, Bluelex, Ryu, Hjarnan, Kasing, and Prolly. Asset looking to deal Fnatic their very first loss of the season, and on Fnatic it is of course Huni, then Rainover, Febiven, Reckless, Yellow Star, and Daylor. So 2 weeks ago when H2K and Fnatic met, it was very, very convincing for Fnatic because they really shut down Odoamne. How do you think these teams have evolved since then?
I feel personally at this level of play, when you have two very consistent teams, I think the first initial mistake is what's going to snowball the game towards one direction, because usually the game should finish after one mistake, theoretically, but unless there's more mistakes involved in the game, and it was pretty clean.
What do you think?
I definitely think that both teams evolved a lot since then. Personally, I think H2K is actually weaker. Since that match, I personally think that they are in some sort of a slump, their play lately hasn't impressed me, where I think Fnatic is actually improving, still at a very strong rate. And yeah, I personally think that, I think Fnatic definitely has the edge.
It's interesting because Fnatic did get pushed around in some games versus Giants. That was a tough game versus Gambit. Gambit actually built up a lead versus them. Why do you think that is if you think of Fnatic's mindset?
It's partly maybe because of the scouting, because of the draft. I think the Ezreal, the first game against Giants, I think would have been a much more convincing win. The second game, on the other hand, I don't know, the Ezreal, I think, caught them a little bit too off guard. With a strong pick and ban phase, I actually have no doubt in mind that Fnatic will play a very clean and controlled game.
Okay, so definitely Fnatic here, the favorite for you guys. You say H2K has been looking a bit weaker. One person that's been doing really good on that team, though, is Hjarnan, and we'd love to take a look at the AD carries for both teams, Hjarnan versus Reckless. We took a look at the stats, and when it comes to damage share, Hjarnan actually does 29% of the damage to champions in his team, which is the highest of AD carries. Reckless, on the other hand, only does 25%, which is the second lowest of AD carries. But on the other hand, if you look at their gold share, meaning the amount of gold that comes into the team that ends up in their hands, Hjarnan is the third highest of AD carries and Reckless is the lowest of AD carries, meaning he gets less gold, but he is very good with it. And I know we were talking about the strength of these AD carries, and you said, to me, these stats don't mean a lot because I got my eye on Niels when it comes to best AD carries in Europe.
It's personally, when I said best the bot lane in Europe, I meant specifically the lane phase. I think, when I think of the Fnatic bot lane, I think they are smart during the game, but their lane phase is not really something where they create a lot of advantages. While we see Kasing and, of course, Hjarnan, they create advantages for themselves. While I feel that the Mithy and Nils combo creates the best advantage for themselves throughout the lane phase.
Proud coach here.
Yes.
So tell me what did you feel about the triple threat comp that was in H2K? Actually, Hjarnan seems to be taking a really big role in that.
That might be the case, but I think also that H2K's playstyle, they might differ a little bit. If we look at champion pools that might come into the play today, I think we can see more tank utility. I especially have my eye on Nautilus and Lulu for both top laners. If the Ryze ends up going through, which I don't think it will, then we might see again the triple threat coming in. But actually, I think that both H2K and Fnatic might be making a transition, going towards more of the tank and utility side in the top lane.
Well, we'll find out in just a few seconds, actually, because the teams are ready on stage, and we're going to head over to the casters for this top of the table clash.
Welcome back. Thank you very much, Analyst Desk. If we were allowed 2 games of the week, this would be your second one. It's H2K versus Fnatic. Picks and bans, what are we expecting?
What are we expecting? I mean, Ledoc was just talking about how Nautilus top lane, we've seen Lula a few times for Huni. Obviously, Fnatic playing around with some different compositions. We saw Protected Reckless last week. It worked out. in the end of the game, it worked out for them. But Fnatic is a team that likes to target ban quite a lot. They play all the standard meta picks, but H2K should be able to do the same.
Should be able to. They've taken Olaf away from Reignover. If you remember back to a couple of weeks ago, Reignover stole Dragon with an undertow.
And then you ban it.
And
I mean, there's
now
no
it's banned. Last week, however, Reignover played Rek'Sai
Yeah.
over the Olaf.
Reignover is the only jungler in Europe that has managed to make a third tier 1 jungle pick for himself in that Olaf here. He picked it so many times when Rek'Sai was open, when Gragas was open, because he trusted in his team that they could snowball the early to mid game, and when Olaf obviously hits that late game, he becomes such a monster, and Reignover will just be this single threat very often in terms of diving the enemy AD carry. So we have to see. I expect just Rek'Sai Gragas for him instead. I mean, I don't think he's gonna mind too much.
There's no way to ban out Fnatic if you look at all of the threats across multiple roles. Last time these teams met, I feel Fnatic somewhat baited Oduwamne into playing the Rumble. He was performing exceptional up until Fnatic completely shut it down. Rumble is the most banned champion against Fnatic. 9 out of their previous 12 games.
Okay, Gragas.
And we'll see whether or not Fnatic want to consider it. Gragas up, Echo up, Rumble up.
Yeah, so
Alistar up, Sivir up.
With these two AD carry, jungle bans from H2K, and now especially with Sivir being banned away, you would normally just say, okay, Gragas should be the first pick, then they're setting up for it, the last one of their tier 1 junglers available. Fnatic had the choice, do we want to leave Sivir open and try and say, hey, whichever you don't take of Gragas Sivir, we pick it up on our side. But also we have seen new junglers come in, and we talked about Echo jungle earlier, being very strong among some of the teams here in Europe. At least we've seen Evelyn quite a few times. There's a fairly large pool of junglers, but Gragas will stand out now with these two bans.
If Gragas is first picked for H2K, the only other jungler that Reignover has played is Evelyn, and he did it once. One thing that we briefly entertained last week was if there is anybody on Fnatic who if you squeezed, how do they perform? It was Reignover.
Yeah.
He had one
It has to be Gragas first pick. It has to be Gragas. I mean, yeah, there we go. It is locked in. When you ban two junglers, if you didn't take the Gragas here, those two bans wouldn't make any sense at all for H2K. Also with Fnatic banning with Sivir, I wonder if H2K would try maybe to bait them to leave it open so they could first pick and say, okay, you get the Gragas instead. But for now, Fnatic has been happy banning out purely the bot lane. We've seen this before. Last time they played H2K, they banned Kasing. All 3 bans were to Kasing or towards him. He locked in an Annie instead and didn't really have much of an impact on the game. Now, Echo is open. We've seen it as flex pick. Oh, it should be a flex pick for Fnatic. Overall, just like Alistar would be one of the go-to picks, but we also know Fnatic likes to change up what they play, and it's very difficult to predict.
It really is. However, we touched on Rumble. We touched on how many times have been banned. You have to anticipate H2K are aware of this.
Yeah.
Because we were. Corki, the next top tier AD carry. We've seen 2 Graves today. What does Hyuna want to run now that... Oh, he's run Jinx multiple times as well.
Whenever H2K is in a situation where Kalista Sivir is banned, they like to go towards the Jinx and run these protect the Jinx compositions. So like Janna, Gragas as disengage for them, but you need to be careful running too much disengage against a poke comp, which Fnatic is already slightly building towards. We know Jace is going to be a contested pick between Ryu and Febiven, and with the AP top lane and with the Corki, it's perfect for Fnatic to lock in the Jace. H2K might look to take it away from them instead, but then if you run this protect the AD carry composition with the Jinx, you might really rely heavily on physical damage, which can become another problem for you.
Seconds left in this next round. H2K, where will they go?
Shen support.
Shen and Gnar. Earlier today, we talked about how, I believe it's North America, have run Shen a couple times in the support role with the Shadow Dash taunts into flashes, with Kasing losing access to Thresh, even though Janna's available. I just want to throw it out there. Kickers also ran Gnar in the jungle. I'm not expecting it because of how good Oduwamne is on Gnar.
There's a Gragas too.
I'm just saying.
All right. Shen support.
We've seen Gragas top as well.
Yeah, true. I'm going to say it's Shen support coming in for Kasing. It can work as well in terms of protecting.
Is this not a protect the Jinx? If you put like a Lulu mid and then Jinx?
I mean, yeah, sure. If you add in a Lulu mid as well. Shen, though, for me, is a support that really shines at setting up plays across the map, obviously as a global with his ulti. So to me, it looks more like we want to make sure Oduwamne can have a fantastic strong game on this Gnar. He can become a one-on-one threat with like Black Cleaver, and then once you start pushing down the waves, the Shen can TP in and you can start tower diving, and yeah, I saw it.
We're going back, way back, to when nobody really expected Fnatic to be good. At the beginning of the spring split, it was the Rengar-Xerath combo, if memory serves.
It was.
And it was comboed with Lissandra top. Back when I thought Fnatic had a limited champion pool. And Reignover, he really showed up. But we've not seen Rengar work particularly well in summer. Shook ran it once. I wasn't blown away. But this also means if you run Jinx, that's a easy to get to champion.
The problem for Rengar right now is like he's fairly predictable in how he wants to play. Teams have really learned how to deep ward against him. At the same time, he's obviously an all-in champion. Once you go in, you're not going to get out. I mean, you're going to go in, you're going to try and blow up this one target or lock down the target for the rest of your team. So there's not a whole lot of a comeback ensured if you are a Rengar and you start falling behind. H2K though, after locking in that support, Shen decided to say we don't want to run this complete protect the Jinx composition. Instead, very safe picks for them. Victor is one of the better blind picks in the mid lane because he has very few bad matchups. Lucian as well in the bottom lane can handle himself, has a dash versus this Rengar. So for me, honestly, this comp for H2K is so much about what Odo Omni can do in this Gnar. If he becomes a split pushing threat, we know Gnar does well into Rumble. You can build early Hexdrinker, you can even go for Black Cleaver, and Rumble will do nothing to you in the one-on-one lane. Also felt difficult for Rumble to set up the gank properly against the Gnar. Then suddenly H2K has a split pushing threat in Odo Omni. They have wave clear on the Lucian, on the Victor, and you can play around that really effectively. And then all you have to worry about is this Rengar pick in terms of creating picks for Fnatic, something they love to do. I wonder if they want to go Jace though and pair it up with this Corki for this massive mid-game spike.
And it looks like it will be that. I mean, that was where Febiven earned the title of European Sniper, when he was comboing his Xerath with some of the pick power that Reignover had provided. A little bit more aim required on a Jace than a Xerath.
What is a Rengar doing in a poke comp, in a siege comp? I really want to see how Reignover is going to play this one out. Everything else for Fnatic makes perfect sense. You have fantastic mid-game power spike in Jace and the Corki together, and the Rumble obviously for teamfights. Rumble also works really well in these comps here where people have to engage on you. You land down that ulti and it makes it very, very difficult for H2K to then engage in. But the Rengar itself is going to be probably more about tower diving with Yellowstar. Honestly, Yellowstar going in first, then Rengar follow, lock down that one target and you just blow it up. We have seen how Fnatic can coordinate a snare, some CC with like the shock blast from the Jace you just talked about it a few times, and that's been very effective in the past. I just want to see how Reignover is going to play this one out, because fairly standard for H2K, except for obviously Shen support.
And the one thing I do like from both teams, they have a good mixture of damage, from physical to AD to wave clear. We see the option to play multiple ways on both teams' team compositions, and that's something that is somewhat lacking across the lower table teams.
Only thing maybe for H2K is like, there's no clear-cut hard engage. You're going to have to like taunt flash on the Shen maybe. You're going to have the Gnar flanking in. So it's so much going to be about, can Odo Omni be a split pushing threat? Can defeat him early game with the Shen as well, TPing in and helping him?
If anybody can, it might be Odo Omni's Gnar. You can see the sign in the crowd, 18-0, the dream. H2K want to stop Fnatic short. They couldn't do it last time. We're loading onto the Rift for their second attempt here in summer. Fnatic looking to equal the longest regular season winning streak of 13 wins undefeated, set by Cloud9. What feels like a long time ago.
Definitely not the same team we see today. That's for sure. And H2K obviously looking to upset Fnatic, be the first team to shut them down. Let's see what happens here. Reignover and Yellowstar sneaking down. They might just want to invade in near this tri-bush and just move around the corner with it. But nobody's waiting. The H2K has just put a ward and said, okay, we're not going to stand and wait here. They're moving in now.
I was really hoping that they would sit around for the level 1 face check. Tri-bush ward from H2K means they're not at risk. Will spot all of Fnatic. How do H2K respond?
So remember, H2K was just waiting in the bush. Fnatic doesn't know where they are. They might walk straight into them. Let's see how many members are around. Only Yanin and then Rio on the other side. We might see a collapse on Reignover. Look at him.
He's taunted. Rainover's in trouble. He gives up first blood to H2K's Nah.
Might not be over yet.
Hooney's trying to escape. Kasing saving up the energy. Yellowstar's put a point into Pulverize. Lulex has flashed over the wall. Yellowstar now in trouble. Taunt not going to be needed or used. 2-0. H2K's ward works out beautifully.
And Fnatic with the very greedy invade. They had zero information on where H2K were hiding their members or if they were even hiding in that jungle. And just walked in, they split up even. Rainover took his own route around and just easy pickup for H2K. Shen is such a fantastic pick at level 1 with his taunt. Perfect start. And, I mean, H2K, can you ask for a better start?
The man that was completely ruled out of the game the last time H2K was played against Fnatic is now literally gifted 2 kills. A great ward and a great interception of Fnatic means H2K is now starting with a Ruby Crystal and that Crystalline Floss. You can see the stats down at the bottom. Fnatic completely outplayed H2K in that game.
Yeah.
Now they've got hard mode. They played from behind against Giants last week. Fnatic have to do it again this week.
And H2K also gets a standard lane, which is so important for him in terms of getting towards Hexstring, get towards the Black Cleaver, become this massive split pushing threat. The Fnatic will have so few answers to. It's going to be something like Rainover trying to come in with a gank and like trying 2v1 shut down the Gnar. But if H2K is playing the map correctly, you're going to have like a Shen teleporting in and quickly it's a 2v2. Shen shuts down so many of these aggressive plays you can make. And he's just so good at reacting on the fly. Very often when you play with a Rengar, it's about pre-planning your plays. You need to time the minion waves correctly so you can either go in for the counter gank or you know you can gank safely and not get counter ganked by the Gragas. So that's going to be the key as well. Talked about this in Champ Select. Rengar is an all-in champion. Once you're going in for that gank, you're not getting out. So if Gragas is waiting there to counter gank you, well, you're going to die.
All of H2K were waiting to counter gank Fnatic and they made it count. 2 kills on the board. With Yellowstar's death, that's only the second time this split. Yellowstar's been killed before 10 minutes. Let that sink in for a second. 13 games, and that's only the second time before 10 minutes. There's a massive minion wave built up between Hjarnan and Kasing. Kasing Shen's going to throw out some of those Vorpal Blades. Not going to offer a whole lot more harass than that. As Yellowstar and Reckless are doing a pretty good job of farming underneath the turret.
And just also good scouting from H2K. In that level 1, we saw they place the ward in the tri-bush, and then they moved and they all stayed around the bot side jungle. They didn't just start invading into Fnatic's jungle or anything, you know, they waited. They saw Fnatic on that ward, he said, okay, perfect, they're walking into the trap. Kept it cool, waited for the face check, basically, and then they pulled it and they got the 2 kills. So very, very smart start for H2K, and we have seen Fnatic very often go for these early invades.
And what it does mean is H2K up in that top lane has got the makings of that Phage very early on. He doesn't have a big advantage over Hooney for the time being.
Oh, except 2 kills.
2 kills, of course. And of course, there's your knock. 4 games, 12 KDA. Rumble, he's been allowed it once, banned out 9 times. Obviously, a few times it has played, it's been phenomenal. 4, 1, and 7 was the last stat that Hooney picked up, and he's going to have another phenomenal performance to bounce back against this already fed Nah.
And H2K knows there's not a whole lot of pressure from a 3-6 Rengar, so they can safely sit and push up the lanes. We saw the bottom lane, how they were playing aggressive from the start. Top lane as well, H2K is always looking to try and trade with Hooney. If Hooney uses his Harpoon on lasting a minion, H2K is going to just instantly start trading back with him and win out, because again, he knows Rainover is not really going to be able to do a whole lot early on. And now it's going to be about, can H2K keep tracking the Rengar in the jungle? Because standard lane-wise, just 1-on-1 or 2v2 lane, H2K is going to be more than fine all throughout the early to mid game. They don't need to worry about those lanes. All they have to worry about is, can the Rengar pull off some ganks? So Lulex, his job is tracking Rainover over and over. He's already spotted him now. You see here on the map, and he now knows, okay, he's level 5. And then you start timing it, okay, how many camps does he need? And you start waiting for that potential level 6.
Febervin goes to the skies, puts the hammer down on Ryu, knocks him back. Rainover was hanging about there in the middle lane, but does not have access to Thrill of the Hunt. You see that taunt not connecting just yet. Rainover looking for an opportunity.
He's pushing out the way for Febervin so you can go back. He's out of mana. You want to back fairly early on the Jace to get your tier anyway. So call in your jungler. Tell him no taxes, of course. And just push out the wave and look at you get all the fun.
Of course, for Reignover, it's the first time we've seen him on Rengar this split, but it's not the first time we've seen it this year. He's actually played 5 games in spring, 4 wins, 1 loss to Kishon. Interestingly, it was a loss to the Copenhagen Wolf. Look at Lulex up top.
Look at the setup here. The minion wave is pushing down to Odo Amne, so Huni cannot farm because there's the risk of Lulex waiting around. So he's reading the situation correctly, but he will always lose a little bit. Odo Amne can just block this next minion if he wants to. He's just gonna give it over in the very end to Huni, but smart play from both top laners. One is trying to bait it, the other one is reading the situation, saying there's a high chance of the jungle being Lulex, even using his sweeper, being like, is there a ward here? What's going on?
Odo Amne does not get any Oscars or Emmys this time around. Huni playing it safe. He is down 8 CS. The minion wave pushing into him, and we've seen that Odo Amne is back. Hex Drinker already completed. Double Ruby Crystals secured. Reignover now has access to Thrill the Hunt. Also has those Moby Boots picked up. So H2K may get a kitty cat surprise if Reignover can find the correct opportunity. And with the top wave resetting, I think, going to push towards Odo Amne, that opportunity is not going to be there for a long time. For a while, I think I'll use that term instead.
Yeah. Again, you always have to respect where Lulex can be on the map. He's obviously going to get his own level 6, and as we mentioned before, it's about tracking this Rengar. Look at his early side stone for him. Didn't upgrade his enchant. Instead, Reignover, he's going for Odo Amne now.
Gonna look for the harp. Odo Amne knows, gets rooted in place. Equalizes burning Odo Amne. The follow-up bowler.
Shen's
United's coming out from Kasing. He has an ignite. That's a 2-man taunt. Flash away from Reignover. H2K have got 3 kills. Kasing and Odo Amne 1 more. Mega Gnaw's about to come out. Odo Amne needs 1 more auto attack. He's saving it. The taunt connects. Mega Gnaw's gonna pop. Huni's in trouble. He gets Gnaw barred against the wall. 4-0 H2K.
We talked about this. Support Shen is so good at shutting down these aggressive plays here. H2K, they know there's not a single lane that's gonna lose on its own. It's all about Reignover. And with these early kills for Kasing, the fact he had a great laning phase, didn't have to go back or anything, he got level 6 instantly. Turns the gank around top lane. Fnatic really in massive problems. They used so many cooldowns for this one. Rengar ulti, double flashes. And Shen support says, hello, my top laner is not gonna die today. Last time Odo Amne was completely shut down. This time 2 kills, 2 assists. And then you can just spend all your money on Ruby Crystals.
Fantastic performance in the early game for H2K. Great response play. Anticipating some of the focus that Odo Amne may be getting. Actually anticipating that duo of Reignover and Huni.
Yeah.
You know they're going to hold hands. You know they're going to look for kills.
And I just want to go back to playoffs in the spring split. H2K played Fnatic as well in the semi-final. H2K pulled out Shen top for Odo Amne 2 games in a row. It was supposed to be one of the counters to Fnatic's playstyle there. How they were always looking for picks, looking for teleport plays, and they could counter that with a global. Managed to win one of the games, also thanks to Huni playing Lee Sin top with Cinderhulk, and was completely useless, but
Fisher, we did see an equalizer coming out from Huni, but Fnatic were aware something fishy was up. Deep wards in the top half of the jungle, and H2K hammering away on that top tower.
Let's just talk more about Shen. I love Shen support. I think it's so strong in the mid game, because he excels so much in the current meta in terms of setting up tower dives, or obviously defending for ganks. Because what you can do now is, if Reignover takes over, sorry, if Gnar takes over the lane and he can push down the rumble, you can so easily coordinate a dive where the Shen just TPs in on Odo Amne, taunts Huni, and that's it. That's a kill for H2K. That's his support doing it. He has great base stats with some of the buffs he's been getting lately, so he's fairly strong, just as an individual champion as well in the early game. Obviously late, his main job is going to be like, can you flash taunt the AD carry? That's where he starts falling off a little bit. But just the global pressure he offers as a support is so insane in the mid game.
And again, knowing the focus that Odo Amne may be the target, Odo Amne is undefeated in this Gnar this split, 4-0. Has been one of the most impressive DPS-focused Gnars that we've seen.
Both ultis ready again for Kasing and Reignover.
And Reignover's fully spotted in the jungle.
You mentioned it with the deep wards needed for H2K. All they have to do is just track Reignover over and over. Early side stone. Don't have to upgrade your jungle item yet if you are Lulex. He's one of these very supportive junglers. It's the style he really likes to play. And now we really have to see what Fnatic can do.
So Deficio, and pick some bans, you said if there's deep vision, Reignover's Rengar is going to get read like a book. It's exactly what H2K are doing. What we've also seen from H2K is standard lanes. They've been struggling in lane swaps in the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, we jinxed them.
And in this lane setup, it's working out. Reckless is caught out. Kasing does not have flash. That may have cost Reckless his life, but he's going to at least Valkyrie away.
Not sure what it is, Trevor, but last split, we had a Telestrator segment on why H2K was so good. I believe it was on 5.4, and they were like, best team in Europe.
I remember that, because I'm going to carry the guilt of this.
And then completely slumped for a few weeks in the Cinderhawk meta and just couldn't figure out how to play. Then we have a Telestrator segment on how they're the best team at lane swapping. They play Fnatic, they lose the lane swap, and the next few weeks they fall behind in every single lane swap. Now we're back to normal, though.
So what you're trying to say is Caster Curse is real.
And it's against H2K.
You're trying to say it's our fault?
I think it's a Telestrator.
There we go. It's a cursed Telestrator.
I think that's the problem.
The weatherman screen, ladies and gentlemen. We do see Dragon has been started by H2K. 12.5 minutes. Reignover has got Smite, however, not going to be in range. And there we go. We do see H2K. Dragon #1. Holding on 2,000 gold lead. They've got a tower in the middle lane down already.
Just also looking at this Lucian pick for Yanin. I mean, he was so vocal about how strong Jinx was when some of these other AD carries were banned away. Talk about it after, because for now, Reignover is looking for potential tower dive. This is where Alistar is getting super strong. He's going in.
There's the tower dive. They're focusing the global. Kasing's in trouble. Tower has fallen. Teleport's coming in from Huni on the back. Equalizer's not going to do a whole lot, but Reignover's flashed. Reply flash from Kasing. And Fnatic don't get the kills. The European sniper misses a shot. Fnatic do get a tower at the cost of top.
Yeah, we'll trade towers here. This top lane tower would have gone down fairly soon anyway. So Fnatic instead trying to make a play. And when you face these globals, it's so difficult to make plays where they can join in. Go gank them instead. They won't be able to do anything. Using Alistar, and I think Reignover jumped into the tower. So barely got any damage off. But they got the bot lane. This Lucian pick, though, as I was just talking about before, Shen is one of these supports that needs an AD carry that can handle himself, because you need to be able to teleport away and not have an AD carry just sit and die. Jinx wouldn't have been able to do that against Alistar, against a Rengar, so that's where Lucian comes in super handy for them. And also, you're expecting your lane to be ganked, because again, you are the global, gank the global. Lucian with his dash can be very safe in that case. So it's not going to be about Yanin this game here and the damage he can deal.
Well, they can't ignore him either, though. Take a quick look at the setup. 20 CS advantage for Oda1 up top. 20 for Ryu in the mid lane, even for the AD carries. And this is some support on support action. Yellowstar's going to headbutt Kasing away.
Insane.
Scariest fight of the game. But confident play from Kasing. The Kasing effect, after joining H2K in week 3, week 4 of Spring Split, has really led H2K to be one of the best teams in Europe, and H2K now going to steal away this blue buff. 0 contest from Fnatic.
Just full control. You even see how just by them invading into the jungle here, they force Reckless and Alistar away from the tower. Yeah, Fnatic, they're trying to go in again. Can they pull something off?
That's a flash pulverized! Kasing and Lulex kept out. Lulex is knocked back. He will go down to Reignover, who's now on the board. Fnatic with their first kill. Equalizer in the tri-bush. Shock blast connects.
Look at the mid lane here. H2K were forced down to the bottom of the map, so mid lane is open. Fnatic are instantly going to push it.
There was a team that could come back from giving up 2 kills at level 1. It is Fnatic. Punishing H2K for that invade and blue steal. They get their first kill of the game. And they'll put a lot of damage on this tower, but I don't think they'll be able to kill it.
There's an ulti from Yanin to clear it out, but yeah, got a bit of damage on it. Reignover, knowing that his own jungle is completely warded, saying, okay, I'm gonna start just ganking from my lane. I know I can pop my ulti at this tier 2 tower and you won't spot it. And that's how he managed to get in, create a pick for himself. There was no TP for Oda1, so he couldn't join. And I didn't see where Rio was on the map, but a quick kill for Fnatic. And some damage. This is what they need to do. I mean, again, Reignover has to be the guy setting up the fights together with Yellowstar over and over and over.
And of course, the one thing that H2K will have a little bit of a difficulty is breaking through those inner turrets. There's a lot of wave clear from Fnatic. Jace and Corki do great. And if H2K group, you can see the power of a flash pulverized from Yellowstar.
But here's the thing though, if you look at the wave from Fnatic, Jace has to position himself on the side and like smack the shock blast into the minion wave, meaning he's not gonna hit H2K. So that buys time for them to stay and keep the 4v4 because they want a split push with Odo Amne. Jumping him now.
Hooney's already gone golden, and he's got caught out. Hooney will be dropping, but not before he puts the equalizer out. Rainover's leaped back in with Thrill of the Hunt. Kasing is channeling the Stand United. Rainover's looking for a kill, but I don't think he'll find him. Kasing saves H2K once more.
Look at the bot lane as well.
It's soloed by Odoamne, and Hjarnan is pushing the bottom lane. Fnatic get a tower at the cost of 3 lives.
Big mistake here from Fnatic. Hooney, he popped his hourglass. Obviously a misclick from him. And also just the engage coming in. H2K were ready for it. Even though Hjarnan wasn't there, they knew they could take some of the fight, or they could trade even at least with Fnatic while he was taking the button. Let's see it again. So the take tower, look how H2K is already moving on the map, and they can see Fedman in the mid lane. Misclick from Hooney, meaning he's an easy target now to take down for H2K. Mega now coming for Odoamne. Beautiful setup. And meanwhile, well, you AD carry, you don't need him. You can clean up because Fibrin moving too late. This is not a standard Fnatic play. They're normally the ones already in position with all members at once.
In the pre-game video, Rainover said that he feels Fnatic make less mistakes than their opponents. In the video we heard earlier today, Hooney was saying, even if H2K improve, we can still beat them. Fnatic are 4,000 gold down, on the cusp of losing the longest regular season winning streak Europe has ever seen. If H2K can keep punishing Fnatic.
7 kills to 1. You got the first dragon. It's not going to be about those for quite a while, but H2K straight back into the jungle of Fnatic. They've been spending more time in this jungle than I think Rainover has. And it's what you need to do when you face something like Orenga. Obviously, the next thing is going to be deep wards in the lanes, which is not something we see very often. But if you look at the mid lane right here, just outside of the screen, you can see a ward placed from H2K. That's again to spot. If Fnatic is ever grouping with this Jace and this Corki, you're going to see Rainover sit very far behind the team in the lane where he doesn't expect there to be a ward. And then that's why he pops his ult. You can see the ward on his screen now. It's caster minions. And then he's going to jump in. And that's what H2K is trying to spot. Because again, if Rainover cannot get in there, Fnatic doesn't have a lot of ways of getting to like Ryu, getting to Hjarnan.
Somebody from H2K that has a lot of ways to get to Fnatic is Kasing. Stand United almost available. He's got Home Guard, Moby Boots. H2K secure an inner turret in the bottom lane. That's 4th one of the game. Look at the top lane, however. Fnatic's minions are pushing towards H2K. There's no teleport for Odo 1. Somebody needs to go deal with that. Fnatic are not necessarily grouped up.
Fnatic wants to just stop the recalls. They want to see if this minion wave here can do some damage and also get cleared out. Obviously, the minions going to the towers doesn't benefit H2K in any way. So Fnatic doing a very good job just stopping the recalls, trying to buy a bit more time. There's nothing else down here on the bottom of the map to really fight for because there's no dragon. Towers are gone as well. Now Hooney needs to be careful.
He's been taunted! Hooney may have hourglass. He's going to have to. Equalizer comes out, saving that cooldown this time round. But Rainover's been caught out. A 2-man knocker from Yellowstar. Look at the shock blast from Febivin. Shocking the audience, but no kills for Fnatic.
So Fnatic tried to stop H2K from recalling and then just kept moving down, kept trying to bait them potentially into a fight. And then we see this taunt flash you can do on the Shen. Didn't manage to get a kill on Hooney, but Rainover then jumps in and you are this Rengar. There's only one way. I mean, you buy one ticket and you're never gonna get back out. It just goes down. 2 jungle bans and a Gragas first pick against Rainover. Working so far.
Also go back to picks and bans. I think a lot of members of Fnatic have been squeezed. However, Rainover's not been squeezed as hard. Is this the way? Is it unlucky 13 for Fnatic? 21 minutes gone by, 5,000 gold up, 2 towers up, 2 dragons up. And we're in the territory where Fnatic can sneak Barons.
True.
However, they're very far down.
Yeah. And it's normally Fnatic having the vision control at this point where they get these Baron sneaks. Another thing to highlight, we talked very quickly about how the mid-game spike Corki, Jace, Rumble is fantastic for Fnatic, but because they gave up 2 kills at level 1 and because they've been falling behind further and further, we have barely seen them group and land enough poke from this Jace, from this Corki. We haven't seen them get into proper fights yet. They might be able to get a pick on Lulex though.
Lulex is in trouble. Explosive cast comes out. Equalizes down. Oduwamne is back in Mega Gnar. He's going to look for a 2-man knockup, but it's only Rainova and Yellowstar. Feathervin is firing down the shock blast on the side as Yarn has been zoned away thus far. Kissing lands a torch. Look at Reckless. He's low on mana, but high on health. Landing auto attacks, flashing forward. The Gatling gun's out. He should find Oduwamne for the shutdown.
Oh,
the shock blast finds Yarn. Fnatic have 4 kills, looking for the ace, and there's a peel for Baron.
I'm happy we just talked about how strong the mid game is for Fnatic, yet even though we didn't get to see them really use it so far, now they gotta fight. Lulex got caught out, Kasing didn't manage to get in time, so it was very uncoordinated for H2K. Suddenly, Fnatic, they do what they do best. They always manage to find ways to come back in the games.
Fnatic punish mistakes fantastically well, in the same way that H2K punished Fnatic. I do want to say, the 2 times Fnatic have found kills and objectives has been punishing H2K's over-eagerness on the invades.
Okay, let's look and see what's going on here. So they jump onto Lulex, TP is coming in. I mean, H2K have a lot of members around. It's just so much burst onto Lulex. And now, H2K is split up. If you see outside your screen on the left, Yarnan is there, but Huni is zoning him away. Same can almost be said for Kasing. Meanwhile, Ryu was trying to come down here on the bottom. He goes down. The burst combo from the Jace. And simply with H2K being split up, it allowed Fnatic to finally get onto these carries. And, you know, as we talked about, they have a fantastic mid game. Rumble, Jace, Corki. You always have to respect the damage they can deal. I mean, Febiven with the combo, just activating his W before changing into hammer form, the insane attack speed. Ryu just gets smacked in the head.
We have a game on. Rainova stood on top of a ward. Kasing's gonna get the taunt. Here comes Oduwamne. Hops forward. And Rainova's just gonna go invisible. Great round of applause from the audience as we have a game on our hands. Fnatic had to play from behind against the Giants last week, and they're playing from behind against H2K this week.
And it's going to be tricky for H2K to try and set up this Baron here, because when against a Corki and even a Jace, there's a lot of ways for Fnatic to like check these bushes here despite not having any vision to see if someone is hiding there for H2K. So you need like multiple layers of wards in the jungle to start baiting the Baron, because if you start the Baron, you're stuck in that pit and a Jace lands a shock blast. One shock blast is enough to just force you away. Bot lane, Huni's pushing with TP. H2K just want to try and brute force this tower and see if they can get Huni to teleport up.
It looks like they're going to be trading. Kasing has flash available. H2K secure the tower first. Rumble not known for his incredible tower killing speed, but teleport is up as well, so if Huni needs to respond, he can. H2K steal all of the jungle camps and place a metric ton of wards.
They have 0 pings at the moment. Number 1 rule against the Rengar, pings. Number 2 rule against any team in the world, pings. Because you need to also deny vision, otherwise you can't really move anywhere. And for now, H2K have accepted that they're just trading vision with Fnatic. You can see how there's a ward of Baron, there's a ward in the jungle from Fnatic as well.
So dragon number 3, Deficio.
This might be a thing.
Movement
5
speed,
dragons.
Movement speed increase for H2K. Fnatic will be running out of time if they do not pick a fight for the next few Barons. Dragons. Need to clear out the vision. And shock blast. And that's where Kasing's HP went. Yellowstar's looking for an engage. Fnatic are split, but they've got to wait for Mega Gnar.
Waiting it out. Never disrespect the damage Fnatic can do at this point in the game. Yellowstar is torn it up. Let's see what Lulex can do.
Equalizer comes out. That one's good. The shock blast doesn't connect. Fnatic have got the damage focus on Oduwamne and Lulex. Oduwamne will be going down. Feathervin's on a killing spree. 5 versus 4, and Fnatic cannot find more.
Again, it's Fnatic going in. I'm not sure if I said never respect the damage or never disrespect the damage, but don't disrespect it, because Fnatic's mid game is fantastic. Ryu is here, he's full HP, but Lulex is so low. He's going in!
Culling's coming over from the side. Red team Baron! Fnatic get Baron! The There's 2 more kills for Huni. It's a double. They're looking for Ryu. We see the Valkyrie available from Reckless. Shock Blast connects. Rainover doesn't connect with the Bowler Strike, nor does the Frost Bomb. And that Death Star laser hurts a lot. Ryu's going to be able to get out, but Fnatic get the first Baron of the game. 26 minutes on the clock, and it's Fnatic with the gold lead.
Fnatic had no answer to a split-pushing Gnar. They had so many more answers, though, to team fights. And H2K have now, multiple times in a row, engaged into fights with Fnatic, or at least been in situations where Fnatic could force fights on them. And that's been exactly what they wanted with this Rumble pick. The Jace, obviously, from FIB. Yes, Fnatic doesn't get to sit there and land the poke, but they still have such a good all-in in terms of the damage they can do. And H2K just haven't been using this great start for Odom.
4, 2, and 5 with the CS advantage. Odom has been the man left for dead when those team fights have broken out. Let's also quickly give some praise to Febiven. Hitting the shock blasts when they count as these team fights are breaking out. Positioning from Reckless and near Flawless as well. I've not really felt Reckless has been at threat of those flash taunts. It's something you were mentioning from Kasing. Thrill of the hunt. Where is the kitty cat going? The answer is nowhere. Not the most impressive Rengar game from Rainover. He's going to find Odom. Shock Blast looking to control on his Baron empowered minions. It's broken Deficio. Culling comes out to clear the wave. Tower is going to survive for a few seconds longer. So it looks like Lulix wants to clear her out. That's a big chunk off of Ryu. Shock Blast coming out. Minions are conga lining in. Deficio, Fnatic are keeping up the siege.
Yeah, finally Fnatic gets to siege with the composition. We're still only 28 minutes in. Feels like a lot more with the things going on. So they have fantastic poke at this point. And overall, for H2K, we mentioned these pink wards before, and I really feel like that's been such a big problem for them. They've never really been able to deny a whole lot of vision away from Fnatic, so Fnatic always had the chance to see, okay, are you out of position? Can we get a potential engage with our Rengar? And they've been using it so well. I mean, full credit to Fnatic for how they've been using that information. But also H2K just honestly slacking a little bit on denying the vision. Look, again for them, no pinks until now, where Rio picks one up. Only one upgraded sweeper as well. So simply have not been able to take full control.
Deficio, you're rewriting the League of Legends rulebook, because I thought Rule 1 was never chase is singed, but we'll go with pinks. You can see Daylor and Gambit enjoying the game, as Fnatic are now 4,000 gold ahead. They are the ones in control as we are about to hit 30 minutes. And look at the gold graph. What a story that tells. One team fight Ace, a second team fight then Baron. And Fnatic are where many expected them to be.
It looked so bad for Fnatic. Didn't get to use the mid-game spike at all. Never got the chance to group up because H2K was so strong they could always just try and fight against them. They had the split-pushing threat of Odom there. And then these picks start happening, these team fights in favor of Fnatic in their own jungle as well, because they could just trade the wards with H2K. They used it. Now we're sitting here and we get to see this poke competition start shining. Now they're back where they want to be. As a Pokemon, if you fall behind, it tends to just snowball horribly one way because you cannot really defend yourself, you cannot set up sieges. Now they can. Kasing is going to flash forward though. Taunt forward. Same thing.
Do you see the Valkyrie away from Reckless? He's trying to be zoned out. Yellow Star's on the front line. Huni's overheating, so there's no equalizer, but they've killed Kasing. There's the Chaos Storm as the Gravity Field stuns up a few members of Fnatic. Fnatic are grouped. Reckless is chunked low. Not low enough. Febiven continues to throw out those shock blasts. Despite the lead that Odom got, despite the early items, he's just not dealing enough damage. And he's not playing the map with the advantage he had. It feels like H2K continuing to try to play the invade team fight game.
Right,
and it hasn't worked.
It's not about the damage for Odom, obviously. He is the tank on the team together with Lulix, but you're right, he's not been playing the map. He's not been able to set up This way push he wanted with this Frozen Mallet build as well for himself. But Rainover, I mean, criticized him before with his Rengar, but he's been such a big part of these picks lately for Fnatic. 4 dragons though for H2K. They are behind in gold now, 5k, but they got 4 dragons to 0. The next one is going to be the big jackpot. Can Rainover and the rest of Fnatic continue finding these picks? Because, as we just said here, poor start. He was shut down early on this Rengar, but he's really redeemed himself. Whenever Fnatic have won a fight, it's often been with Rainover jumping in and starting everything.
Fnatic have a lead in gold, a lead in towers, marginal. But they are down 4 dragons. With Baron coming up in a minute, you can already see the priority from teams looking to clear the vision out, looking to gain vision control. And unless H2K play this one correctly, they may be losing a Baron.
Only has to go back and clear out this bot lane wave. H2K build up a pretty big one that was slow pushing in, so just recall for it. Has teleport ready. Odoarmin does not. So set up a slow push now if you are Fnatic, and then you can start grouping around Baron and land this poke. You don't want to start the Baron necessarily. You want to have H2K trying to move in and like place a few wards themselves, try and spot you if you are doing the Baron, and then you start landing this poke out of vision against H2K where they have no real way of dodging it, and they're just stuck always trying to face check into Fnatic where they have full vision of them, while Huni can be a split pushing threat. So we might see H2K just try and force Baron itself to start the Baron to try and force Huni to teleport away, but that's also super risky because then we have all this AoE damage coming from Fnatic in terms of poke. So very, very tough situation for H2K where there's no real great play to make.
Look at the poke coming out from Fnatic. H2K managed to bully their way into the river, clear out some wards, get a pink down in that death bush in the middle of the river. Kasing's got 1 more pink in his inventory and his flash available. Shadow Dash Flash Engage available for H2K. See what they do. Ryu just gets chunked down. Look at Kasing on the front line. Don't want to be there if you don't have your mid lane available for a team fight.
Remember there's cleanse for Fedrivan, so he should not be the target for the Shen Taunt. Instead you want Reckless or maybe Huni who can take him down before the Hourglass. But Fnatic now, because they've been landing so much poke, they know H2K have been forced to back away, and they just start the Baron now.
Culling comes up from Kion and he's a little split from his team. H2K in position. Baron number 2 secured. Equalizer comes out and Odoarmin is down already. Lulex is looking for Feathervin, but he's not going to find him. Rainover leaps in. We see a flash for Flash. Yellowstar chasing Kasing. 3 members of H2K are down. Fnatic have a Baron. Yellowstar setting up yet another kill for Fnatic, and Rainover, he's bounced back from a horrid start. And Fnatic will have an uncontested inhibitor turret for at least 25 seconds.
And just great play all around from Fnatic in setting up this Baron. How they're just dancing around it. They wait for H2K to move close, then they land the poke, and once H2K is forced back to their own base, well then you just start rushing in this Baron here for Fnatic. I mean, if you can't even beat them when you get 2 kills at level 1, who's going to stop Fnatic? 2 kills at level 1 for H2K, 7-1 later on in the game, and yet here we are.
If Fnatic close it out, that drop down just told us they will tie the longest standing LCS winning record in the regular season. With 2 lanes of super minions, with Baron empowered minions, and with a whole lot of momentum and tempo. Fnatic are showing there's very little they cannot do.
And H2K have been getting so little gold the last many minutes. They're getting the Dragon, sure, but you need to get number 5 to really benefit from these stats. If we look at it, like we mentioned, Frozen Mallet, Random Zoman from NR. I feel like that's 10 minutes ago. Ever since, there's not been a complete item. I mean, sure, he's gotten a Chain West, and that's been about it. Odoarmin has been completely shut down in terms of gold, in terms of income for himself. Not even close, really, compared to what Fnatic's been picking up. Fibman has the fantastic Infinity Edge. Pop your W on this Jace, turn into hammer form and just destroy people.
Let's see how many shock blasts Feathervin can land. Kasing's actually going to dash into that one. Oduwamne is chunked a little bit. He's got that elixir of iron. Minion wave is being cleared out efficiently, but look at the supers. They're not in the base yet. 25% of Baron left for Fnatic, and they've poked Kasing down. So if his Stand United comes in, it will be low. Culling used to try and clear this wave. Reckless is getting a few auto attacks down. Hjarnan is going to dash forward aggressively. Oduwamne is going to go Mega Gnar. Does not have flash available. Will get hyper in a moment. Is going to try stun up Huni. We see Rainover is splitting up H2K's focus, and Oduwamne's down. Lulix follows quickly thereafter, and Fnatic find a third. That's a double kill for Reckless as Huni goes for another. 4 members of H2K are down. The supers are into the base. In the European LCS, every team fights one another, but it's Fnatic that end up winning. 13-0. They equal the longest winning streak in LCS history. If there's any team that is more honest about playing poorly in wins, I don't know it. Because Fnatic talk about some of their victories as if they were losses. And you can see the relief on everybody's faces. I'm going to translate what Yellow Star's 2 fingers means. We've been down twice. Giants and H2K.
I think it's the 2 rules, you know, the pink ones against pink against teams. I think that's what he's saying.
You're trying to rewrite rule books you're not allowed to rewrite, Deficio.
Well, the thing is, for Fnatic, some people are talking about how it could be healthy for them as a team to maybe lose a game, see if there were some mistakes. This is about as close as they might get. So there's a lot of things in the early game for Fnatic to go back and look and say, okay, what went wrong? Why did we fall behind? What could we change? And then you just gotta give them so much credit for coming back in the game. How they managed to punish H2K. And obviously H2K were somewhat built for split pushing with their Frozen Mallet. So Oduwamne never really had much of an impact in these big late game team fights. That was a problem for them. Because obviously we mentioned earlier how Hjarnan was not going to be the big carry in this one. He was playing the Lucian, he was supposed to be safe. And he never really got to do anything.
No. Happy to see some smiles in the face of H2K. Again, H2K show they are a force to be reckoned with. They responded well early. They played the laning phase effectively in head-to-head lanes. But unfortunately, a few mistakes in the jungle, or a few mispositions, I think that's a better word, because Fnatic forced the team fights. Fnatic forced the kills.
Right. I think it was just the overall map play from H2K that was the problem. Again, the lack of pink boards, not denying vision away from it, and then finding yourself split up in situations where you have to respect the potential engage coming. Like we had this team fight near the Baron where Ryu was on one side, Hjarnan was on the other side, and none of them really managed to do anything, and that's where it started going really wrong for H2K. So just overall, some mistakes as a team, and we know Fnatic will punish you for it.
And once again, Febiven with a phenomenal performance. 5-0-5 on that Jace. Once we got to the mid-game, shock blast after shock blast.
Yeah.
There was a couple of fans in the audience there. Huni is love, Huni is life. He ended 5-2-9. 18-0 the dream. It's still possible if Fnatic can take down Origin tomorrow. If they can. That is
Match
to set
of the week.
That is to set game of the week.
Game of the week.
That is to set
Game
the
of
new
the week.
record. We'll head down to Pulse on stage for a little bit more insight into Fnatic's 13th straight win.
Thank you, Quickshot. I'm joined here by Reckless from Fnatic after their win, and it was very hard fought. And I do want to ask you about the early game because you lost a lot of kills and were down a lot of gold very early on.
Yeah, basically we had a level 1 strategy going into the game, judging off their previous level 1 strategies. So we just tried to like form a strategy towards what they were usually doing, and then they ended up doing another strategy that, like in 12 games they did a specific thing, and then in this game they changed up completely. So we got kind of caught off guard with that, and we ended up getting 2 kills level 1, and then they had like a huge advantage in pretty much every lane to begin with. And aside of that, we had weak matchups on pretty much every lane as well. So it was like really hard to keep the team solid in early game without getting too snowballed down. So sometimes, you know, when you win these games, it's like kind of hard to tell if you win because you're the better team, and that's why you come back into the game and make these like clutch decisions where you get towers for nothing. or if they are just not good enough to keep us off those towers or the ways we can come back into the game. So it's kind of hard to tell, but I still feel like we kind of did what we could with the champions we had and the situation we were in. So I'm pretty happy about that win.
Well, I did want to ask you about how you just identified those opportunities, because yes, you were down in the early game, but how do you say, oh, this is the team fight that we need right now?
Well, basically, all the champions in the game have their own power spikes, right? So if I'm strong at a certain moment, maybe the enemy is also strong, but he has more farm than me, so he's obviously stronger. But in this type of scenario, for example, for my role, I'm strong at like level 11 with Corki, so we tried to work around that, even though Lucian was like 2 or 3 levels up on me. And then also just like very, very solid shot calling from Yellowstar, I think kept us in the game, and he was making sure we made the right decisions at the right times instead of just going for a fight that we were not going to win and then ending up giving even more kills than we were already giving, and then that would make the game impossible to come back in. So definitely I think Yellowstar shot calling like kept us in the game and allowed us to take these towers for free and eventually come back enough so we could win a team fight and then turn that into a Baron.
Yeah, well, it was very impressive. This is your second win now over H2K. But moving forwards tomorrow, you're up against Origin. Do you think they're going to be a stronger or weaker opponent than H2K today?
I've always thought H2K is a tad higher than Origin. But at the same time, I don't think either team is a bad team in any sense. So definitely, I think tomorrow will be as tough as today. But at the same time, I feel like H2K had a very solid plan going into the game, so maybe I have to expect the same from Origin, or maybe they just go with what their standard style. But we'll see. We'll just make sure not to die twice level 1, and then maybe we can have an even game.
Yeah, well, we will see indeed, Reckless. Thank you very much for joining me. We're going to throw it over to the analyst desk to break down that crazy game.
Thank you so much. Well, first I got to ask Ducky, of course, about what Reckless just said. H2K a little bit better than OG. Tomorrow's the matchup. What are your thoughts?
Well, it's his opinion, so I think we're a tad higher than H2K right now, but this is mainly because I think that H2K is slumping a little bit, and I think it also showed both in the draft and in the in-game decision-making. I just hope that we can be a little bit more solid with our strategy tomorrow, and I think we will give Fnatic tomorrow a harder match.
Well, as you say, the draft from H2K in this one, let's get the team comp graphic up on the screen, because you guys, if I could have recorded it, you guys were just quite disappointed in H2K's draft. That's understating.
Let's start off with the bans, because sort of like the plan from H2K here is target Reignover. Reignover, if you look at the champions he played in the jungle so far, were mainly on the Gragas and the Rek'Sai side and the Olaf side. So if you ban the Rek'Sai and the Olaf and you first rotate the Gragas, you force Reignover on something new. I hope that H2K knew it was the Rengar, because it was something that was very visible from Reignover's solo queue accounts. And yeah, they pretty much wanted to push Reignover out of his comfort zone and onto a non-tier jungle while getting the Gragas. So that part of the strategy was actually really solid. But then it gets wacky.
Oh, let me start where it gets rocky, right? Like, in the second rotation, they just pick a Gnar and a Shen. And it makes very little sense, because it's not contested picks. It's not picks that are going to disappear from your hand simply because the enemy team has revealed the Rumble already. While in reality, the pick that was contested was the Jace. I think we talked about the Jace for a straight 5 minutes about how it was contested. And it was just shocking that it just passed away through the ban and pick.
Yeah.
It starts off with, like, first up we were thinking that Jace might be a first rotation from Fnatic, and then in the second rotation H2K had the opportunity to go Alistar Jace, and they would have set up for such a good team comp. And then they end up also giving away the Jace when Fnatic already has the Corki and the Rumble in the first rotation, which somewhat hints towards this poke style comp. And they also didn't pick Engage. They just had no Engage. There was a Shenton and a Gragas, completely unreliable. And you have to know this is coming. Like, Fabian is infamous for his Jace.
Yeah, so you guys were ready to throw in the towel for H2K when the game started, let's be honest here. And then this happens. Let's pull it up on the screen. Reckless talked about it. We scouted H2K, we know what they're going to do, and they mixed it up. We have it fast forwarded here, because up until now, everything's fine.
Two things I want to pay attention to is the Jace in the mid lane, who's not moving one bit, so there's definitely no support that he could, for example, walk over the Wraith Brush in the team. And then Reignover completely, I don't know what he...
Reignover commits Sudoku. That's basically it. Like, no, that is such a solo queue move, and I bet he just bit his tongue after he did that.
Making a number puzzle there and end up giving 2 kills to Gnar. So much like when Fnatic shut down Odoamne in their last meeting, they said, now you get a head start from us, but we're going to shut you down after. Let's get the second replay up on the screen at Baron. Ducky, you had a lot to say about Fnatic's Baron control, but is this Fnatic's call around Baron, or is this H2K's mistake?
There's two main things that's happening here, which is Lulex is completely split from the team. Gnar has to TP where Rumble is already there, and Lucian on the top side is doing nothing. Huni did an absolutely amazing Rumble ult from max distance over the wall. It was just, it completely won the team fight alone. And after that, I feel like, I don't know, Fnatic's communication, their shot calling, everything was just on point, and H2K was too split. It was unclear what they were doing, and it really cost them the game here.
I would have to say that it really showed the strategical flaw of H2K's ban and pick right here, simply because they had a situation where they just had to push out bottom, let Gnar create some pressure before they venture into the enemy jungle, and they ventured into the enemy jungle, forced a TP off of Gnar, and it kind of groups them up, because in a group situation they will lose. In the laning phases alone, they were stronger, and that's how they should have played it out.
Yeah, but they didn't, and Fnatic still undefeated here. Well, there's still more LCS coming your way today as SK Gaming goes up against Gambit to try and keep their playoff hopes alive. We'll meet you back here right after this.
Alista and Rengar will be good here.
Okay, I take Rengar.
Okay.
Oh no!
Shut up, your Rengar is sick. Go.
Huni will be dropping, but not before he puts the equalizer out. Reinover's leaped back in with Thrill at the hunt.
Victor is dead, Victor is dead. Gnar?
Gnar.
Gnar, can we?
Yeah, we can.
3 versus 4, 3 versus 4, 3 versus 4, 3 versus 4. Gnar? Shen. Nice! Shen.
Kalling's coming over from the side. Red team Baron. Fnatic get Baron. There's 2 more kills for Huni. It's a double. Equalizer comes out and Odoamne is down already. Lulex is looking for Feathervin, but he's not going to find him. Reinover leaps in. 13-0. They equal the longest winning streak in LCS history.